How are we doing, Kansas Jayhawks fans? This is your host, Nick Rondeau, coming at you with some Jayhawks Daily content, and I am excited. We have got weekend basketball, some weekend hoops, some border showdown hoops. You know, who can't be excited for that? Yes, we love when there's some games during the week. Help us out during the work week, feel better. But then, we work for the weekend. We get to sit down, really relax, and just watch some KU hoops on the weekend. So yes, that's right. We've got the border war, the hoops border war. That is Kansas taking on Mizzou, Missouri, 1 p.m. Eastern this Sunday, December 7th. It's going to be on ESPN2. I know we're all going to be tuned in. I know we get a little antsy. We see that 3 in the loss column, and we're like, whoa, wait, is it March already? We don't like seeing that many losses already. But, at the end of the season, those are tough. Duke, UConn, UNC, those are going to be, all 3 of those teams will be top 4 seeds, mark my words, going into the tournament. So we'll see what we've got to deal with. This Mizzou team, they're tough. They're tough. They're boasting an 8-1 record. They're looking good, minus their last game, which they just lost to Notre Dame. But I do see Notre Dame as a perfect fit against them that could beat them, And I'll kind of elaborate. So kind of getting into it. We'll get into the starting fives, but kind of just getting into, you'll just be able to tell based on, what Mizzou's strategy is. And we saw it last year. Mizzou likes a strategy of, they attack the glass, they take a lot of three-pointers, and they like to have a lot of three-point shooting. So, not just they have the guys that can do it, they really, they like to take great shots, but they're going to light it up. They're going to light it up for sure. So, we'll dive into it. Yes, a lot of guards, but they've also got some big men. So it's not like they're just going to be shoving in some guys. It's just they love to utilize their bench. Unlike maybe Bill Self sometimes, their coach loves to utilize the bench. So and they've got a tough schedule. SEC is going to be good too. No hard knocks against that. They're a good conference for sure. And how are they going to fare? I don't know. But their best player did return. That would be Mark Mitchell. He's going to be their starting top scorer, 6'9" senior, originally from Kansas, actually, but he played over at Duke for 2 years, and then this is his second year here at Mizzou. He's coming off of an all-ACC, second team, had a great year last year, obviously, and he's picked up right where he left off, and I mean that in 2 ways. He is still the most dynamic scorer, top ball handler for them, excellent slasher, and able to finish through contact around the rim. He has some great highlight reel dunks. This guy really does it all. Rebound. He's a great defender. But he's also picking up where he left off, and that's not being able to shoot the three-point ball. Nope, he is shooting 10%. Melvin, there's someone who shoots less than you. Looking out for him. No, but he just has never really developed that into his game. Not saying it's leave him completely wide open, but yeah, leave him completely wide open. You don't want to let him dribble by you because you're going to get someone else in trouble, and he's probably going to finish that basket. So he's averaging 19 points a game with those numbers. So just let that sink in how good he is outside of just shooting three-point balls. So Mark Mitchell, great player, going to be a starter for them. Next up, we've got Sebastian Mack is going to be another starter for them. He played 2 years at UCLA, but he's a 6'3" junior, and it's interesting. His freshman year, he started all those games at UCLA. They kind of had that, off year, I believe, and then sophomore year didn't play much, so that led him to transfer to Mizzou, and he's playing fine. Again, they boast a lot of a smaller starting lineup for some reason. Not too small, obviously. They have some guys that fit the profile of 7 foot, or above. But yeah, that's going to be Sebastian Mack. Another facilitator for them. Another starter is going to be Javon Porter. And yes, that name should sound familiar because you're like, wait, how many Porters go through Missouri? That is Michael Porter Jr. and Jonte Porter Jr.'s younger brother. He is going to be a 6'11" senior, and he had a different path. He wasn't the number one recruit like MPJ, and he wasn't, able to transfer just after 1 year from another decent program like Jonte to go to the NBA, He started over at Pepperdine for 2 years, Shout out Pepperdine, great little program. Played some years there, had a good year last year at Loyola Marymount, and said, you know what, I'm going to finish over at Missouri. Should be a fun time. I think his dad's one of the coaches as well, but hey, he's a starter. He's one of their big guys, so he's getting a lot of rebounds. Decent shot blocker, but he's gonna help him a lot out with that height, really keep us true to our toes. So next up, we've got their 7-footer, Sean Phillips Jr. He's a 7-foot senior. Played first year at LSU, didn't play too much. Played the next 2 years at ASU under Bobby Hurley, and definitely had some good years there. Really showed his promise, and decided last year I'll go over to Mizzou. But he's a true rim runner. Good rim protector. Doesn't have a very wide out expanded game, but definitely can finish off some oops, decent post moves, and is just a good rebounder and blocker. So exactly what they kind of need that fits their system of running and gunning and clean up the boards. So next up we'll get is their top guy off their bench, and probably one of their elite players, I would say. Kind of reminds me of a couple years ago Grill for them, but that's going to be Jacob Cruz. And he's, another guard for them, but he's about 6'8", so he helps them, fits that whenever they go a little bit smaller ball. And he's a 50% 3-point shooter, so don't lose him. He's a couple years ago. His path, to be specific, he was a North Florida guy for a year. He went to UT Martin for 2 years. Really showed his stuff over at UT Martin, and then 2 years here. So just a really good player. Had over 6 or 7 threes over at UT Martin a game, attempted obviously, but making about 3 of those or 3.5. Really solid player, shooting about 5 these games, so he's making over 2.5 threes a game. So we really got to keep an eye on him, make sure we don't let him get loose, especially when they kind of, dull us down in their smaller ball lineups, but, not ideal. And then a couple other bench players we'll just go into, but that's going to be Jaden Stone, 6'4" bench player, senior guard for them, played 2 years at Grand Canyon, 2 years at Detroit Mercy, another 3-point guy. Just a solid player. We really don't want to, lose him for a little bit. And then the last guy we'll go is Anthony Robinson. He's going to be a returning ball player for them. He's a 6'3" junior. He's their other ball handler. Primary, I would say, besides Mark Mitchell, 40% shooting the 3-ball, and very good at getting those steals. So he gets about 2.5 steals a game. Good defender. So it's going to be a battle between him and Melvin, maybe a little bit swap up, but, we'll see. And, what do we kind of see with that? What do we see as a key for KU? Well, I know you were expecting Darren Peterson. No, it's not, because we can win this game without Darren Peterson. But I'm not going to go a podcast without mentioning him. Darren Peterson could play. Who knows? Do I think it's likely? Probably not. I think it's more likely that, maybe he is going to make his first game back conference playtime. I really think that's, kind of where they're pivoting to. But more often than not, I really do think, he's going to want a first game back at Allen Fieldhouse. That's just my gut feeling. But again, my gut's been wrong most times with Darren Peterson. So we'll keep an eye out Sunday if there's any news going on about if DP will play. But yes, DP hopefully will be playing for us. If not, I think we're running the same starting lineup, maybe one change. But, I think it's going to still be Melvin Council, Jamari McDowell, Flory Badunga, Trey White, and Bryson Tillard to round it out, with, El Marco hopefully being the first guy off the bench. Because if we're going to keep Jamari McDowell, and I'm assuming it's because Bill's saying, we want that more consistent 3-point shot, additional ball handler, and, he's been confident lately. He's been very confident, so we like that. But we want to see it continue, not just in the first 5 minutes, Jamari. We want to see it continue down the stretch. So I think a big key for us is, I was shouting out to them, is our defense has got to hold true, but we've got to keep up with them. We've got to maybe hopefully we can keep our streak of sub-30 3-point shooting for the other team, for Mizzou, because, like I said, they can shoot. So let's hope they take a lot of bad shots and they're clanking them out, because we do not need to see them put up 95 points plus. They were destroying us last year with the 3-ball. It was just atrocious to watch. But, they can't destroy us on are can't hedge with Hunter Higginson or hedging too hard. They can't, kill us in the drop coverage. So Flory can, this switching play should hopefully not destroy us. Hopefully they don't realize that they should just pop that three right as we're trying to switch. But we'll see. We'll see kind of where we line up. I definitely do think a couple of keys. Pounding the paint never hurts. Some of our better games is when we really get Flory involved early. Definitely try to clear the paint for him. Maybe try to rim run. Allow Melvin Council to penetrate that paint. Look for a backdoor cutter like Flory or Bryson, and just let it flow. But I really do think Trey White's going to be crucial in this game. Our, Las Vegas champions run, if you want to call it, or our games primarily without Darren Peterson. Trey White has been looking like a better player for us. Yes, Flory's looked good, but you're gonna have two guys looking good without Darren Peterson. You're not just gonna be carried off by one. So Trey White really rounded out that duo. He really rounded out the team, I would say. Defensively, he kind of led them, with strong, hard-nosed effort, grabbing every rebound possible. Offensively, he slowed the game down a little bit, creating opportunities, great stepping through, finishing, and getting the contact for, free throw line. Attacking the glass, getting any offensive rebound he can get, settling them down by, hitting maybe a big three to either put him up by a lot or help him claw back. Trey White really has been, I don't want to say the heart and soul of this team, but he's been a key cog in this machine to keep us running since Darren Peterson's been gone. So we got to look to Trey White getting back into his business. No more 3 shot attempts a game. We need way more than that from you, Trey. Melvin, I love a good game out of you, but more than not, I would like you to take less than 10 shots just to see. I think there are a lot more shots out there for the rest of our team. I think Flory should be getting 10-plus looks, and that usually means, around in the paint or dunks. That means we're really attacking the glass. I think Bryson Tiller should get 8-plus. He just his shots have a higher percentage. That's just kind of the name of the game. I like him taking a three-point shot, contested or not contested, because no matter what, once he hits that first three or once he takes that, they have to respect the three-point line. And that's where he has a great pump fake, dribble drive, and that guy finishes off the glass all over the place. So Bryson Tiller has got to, get his shots up for sure. And Bill, do not be afraid, as I think we all can agree, do not be afraid to use the bench. Cole Rosario is a good player. Cole Rosario can help claw us back, can help extend a lead easily. He can help keep us in any game because defensively, he is strong. He is strong as a bull. I love the way he plays with strong intensity, and he attacks the glass better than anyone on the offensive glass. He goes after every single one. Half of them he tries to go just for putbacks, but if not, he's just going to grab that ball, help us out, get another possession, and his three-point shot is so close. So close to being just absolute butter, over 40% for the year, 3+ attempts a game type stuff. It's almost there. It really is. So I don't want to see him completely fall out of favor with Bill and co. It's just not exactly what we're looking for, but we'll see kind of how that tunes out. And Elmarko Jackson, we need some good Elmarko minutes. If Elmarko's not in the starting lineup, I'm going to be a little bit mad. Yes, I didn't predict it. I think Jamari will be. But that's just because Bill's set in his ways. If he doesn't get enough minutes, I want over 20 minutes. I want over 24 minutes from Marco Jackson. With no Darren Peterson, there is a guard void. There is. And yes, it can be by committee. It can be a lot of Melvin, a lot of Trey, a lot more of all those players. But I want Elmarko Jackson. He's playing confident. He's playing smart. He's playing well. He's doing everything right. Defensively, he's creating opportunity. Offensively, when no one wants to take the shot, Elmarko says, give me the ball. He goes down to the rim. He tries to finish around. Triple, double pumping. I mean, we all saw that. Did we ever think Elmarko was going to do that? No, not the Elmarko that we knew, but this is a different Elmarko. This is the Elmarko we all were like, oh my God. Have you guys heard of this Elmarko Jackson? He's his freshman for us. He's crazy good, super athletic, good shooter. And then they're like, yeah, I don't think so. No, now he is. That is exactly who this guy is. He's got his confidence back. He's got that swagger, finally developed into Bill Self's system. Bill, play the guy. He's committed to you. He has committed a lot to this team. He is a guy who I think bleeds Kansas, you know, crimson, red, and blue. You have to see a little bit more out of him, and I mean playing time. So I really hope that I really hope the Bill's watching. He's going to incite something in him to play him more. But Jamari, make a couple of threes. Maybe see if Jaden Dawson, like, if it's going to be a 3-point shootout, I like our 3-point shooters to be in the game and ready. We cannot fall deeply behind and then go toss them out there, Rylan Griffin, and go brick 3 in a row because you have no confidence right now. I just think that we've got to stay ahead of this. So, what's our score prediction? What are we thinking? I think we take them down. I think we are hungry after that UConn loss. Bill, after a loss, you don't want to see him unless the team's given up, but that's a different point. But Kansas takes him down 88-82. I think this number could even be higher. I was just thinking maybe we play a little bit of defense, but I think it's going to be a tight one. I think both of these teams are going to come out hungry. They're coming off a loss. We're coming off a loss. Yes, their loss was to Notre Dame, which helps make me think we kind of handled Notre Dame, so maybe we handle them, but I don't know. They're coming off that loss. We're mad at the UConn game. I think we get back on track. We get to 7-3. We're excited. We're pumped. We win the border war of hoops, and we're back. We're back on track. We hope that Darren Peterson can join us along the way, get us up at the next stop, and say, "Next up, conference play. We need you." But we'll see. We'll see. I love this Kansas team. They're playing hard. Sometimes, parts of that UConn game, you're just thinking, God, it's been 5 field goals in this entire half. Is that right? We can't have that. So in a game like this, we need about 15 field goals every 10 minutes. We got to keep up with them. They're a good team. They're definitely going to come out hot. They're going to come out, definitely popping that 3-point ball. So we'll see what we can do. I'm excited. I know all of you guys are excited. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your score predictions, how you think we're going to fare, how you think this team's going to fare, if DP is going to play, whatever you guys want. But I appreciate you guys watching this content so much. And let's go. Let's get back on track. Rock chalk. Go Jayhawks.